Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. This is a vlog of my late autism and ADHD diagnosis. I also have aphantasia and a memory disorder called SDAM, which stands for severely deficient autobiographical memory. In this video, I am going to be talking about aphantasia and sex because that is something that a lot of people are curious about. And I think it's important to talk about taboo subjects. But I also want to reiterate that I am one person talking about this. And so my lived experience is going to be my lived experience. I'm not speaking for everyone. Especially because I have like the combo of these 4 different things and probably some other stuff like alexithymia, which is like not processing emotions. There's just a, I'm a unique individual. Every single autistic person, if you've met one autistic person, you've met one autistic person because we're all different. And the same thing with people with aphantasia and things like that. There are common traits, but we're all unique. Another thing I want to touch on really quickly because I'm kind of going to assume that maybe this video might reach a wider audience because human beings are very curious creatures, which is awesome. If we weren't curious, we'd all still be living in caves. But, and sex is one thing that a lot of people are curious about. And so a title that has sex in it might get more clicks, which, I'm guilty about it. I've clicked on YouTubers' videos where they're like wanting to divulge some things and you're like, oh, I'm curious how other people experience this, especially around things that we don't talk about in general. Okay, here I am pausing when I'm actually about to say, as you saw in my disclaimer, I don't edit my videos very much. I try to leave in my natural pauses and speech patterns from being autistic and ADHD. I leave in my tangents as much as possible because part of my channel is showing what unmasked autism looks like if you were to talk to somebody who was not masking their autistic traits, what it might look like. And that's why I don't often have eye contact with the camera because, low eye contact is a common autistic trait. And it's easier for me to think and talk when I'm not looking at myself or the camera. So I don't highlight this at the beginning of every single video, but I thought it was important to highlight for maybe any new people that I have landing here because while I do talk about aphantasia and SDA a lot on this channel, my most common topic is educating about autism and a little bit about ADHD too. I feel like my autistic traits kind of typically are stronger than my ADHD traits, so I talk about autism the most. And then another thing I want to talk about is that it's actually pretty amazing that I'm actually able to sit here and talk about sex on a big platform. Like, by the way, if you know me in real life, you can either skip this video or you just didn't see it. Like, you just didn't see it. I mean, I know we can talk about taboo subjects, but also, come on. You get it, right? But the fact that I can talk about this at all is really important because of my autistic mask and part of my unmasking journey. This was a huge, big realization and aha moment that, like, again, I've had since I've been diagnosed a little over a year and a half ago. I've just had the hits just keep coming. Like, oh my gosh, if I had been diagnosed earlier, how much my life would have been different. So I've got videos that go way into more detail about the autistic mask, but the autistic mask is basically something that our brain does when we're very little and undiagnosed to help protect us because different is dangerous in our society. If you are different, you are othered, you are treated badly, you are made fun of, teachers, authority figures, like people treat different people bad. And the autistic brain is really good at pattern recognition. So what it does is it sees a pattern and then it says, okay, we won't do that. And so it masks the traits of autism. And it does it so well that many autistic people, such as myself, don't even know that we were masked. My mask, I like to say, it's like my brain is running neurotypical.exe. Like if you know old computer talk, that means like a program. Like honestly, it really feels like I'm running a program in my brain. And my program says, make other people comfortable ahead of yourself, because that's going to keep me safe. If other people around me are comfortable, then they're not going to be focused on me. Always be a good little girl and always be perfect. If I would run those 3 things before I did any single action, and that was my autistic mask. Now, after getting diagnosed with autism, it's kind of like waking up from the Matrix, and all of a sudden I was able to see my mask for what it was, and I've been able to pull back layers and layers and layers over time. Okay, so one of the layers of my mask, like I said, was always be a good little girl. In our Puritan culture, sex is not something that little girls talk about. Like, you are not supposed to talk about sex. Girls are put into 2 categories. They can grow up to be prostitute whores, or they can be virgins. Like, that is the underlying, not spoken thing that the roles that women are to fill. They can be a whore, they can be a virgin. There's nothing in between. It's really, really stupid, restricting patriarchy, misogyny, and Puritan culture. But even though I wasn't raised religious, the culture around me said, if you're a good little girl, then you just don't ever talk about sex. And it helps to now realize that last year's Pride, so 2023 Pride, I learned the term demisexual for the first time, and I'm like, oh my gosh, okay, I didn't know there was a term for how I feel about sex. So I'm actually demisexual, which means that I really need a strong emotional connection before I get into a sexual relationship with somebody. So that kind of plays into also some of how my brain just didn't necessarily always want to talk about sex. But I literally, like, my friends were talking about sex or anything like that, I'd get really uncomfortable. And it's because my mask didn't know how to handle it. It was just not good. But I was writing a book with autistic characters earlier this year, and I finished it. I'm in the process of getting it edited and writing, but I found that it was really important. I wanted my autistic character, because it's a romance novel, I wanted my autistic character to actually have sex in the book, because there's so many people who think that disabled or autistic people aren't sexual beings. And while there are a lot of asexual autistic people for various reasons, there are also a lot of autistic people who like sex, enjoy sex, want to have sex. And so it's good to normalize that disabled and autistic people can have sex. But my mask, when I was writing the story, was like, no, you cannot talk about sex. Like, no way are you going to be able to write a sex scene. Like, I got to the part and I was like, could not type, had a meltdown, like could not figure out what was going on. And then I realized it was my mask talking and not me. Blew my brain right open. And all of a sudden, and it was like this freedom for me to be fully self-expressed again just exploded forth. And so my book does have a couple spicy scenes, and it was really weird writing them, but it felt so good. Okay, so to the meat of this video, which I did want to talk about autism and sex too, but like also aphantasia and sex. Editing this, I realized that I didn't talk about how trying to write a sex scene with aphantasia proved to be quite difficult. Interesting, but challenging. You also notice I'm talking really, really fast because at least it feels like it to me. One of the things about autism, and it'll be interesting rewatching this video, a lot of times the emotions that we're feeling on the inside or like we feel like we're talking fast don't express on our faces or the outside. So right now I feel like I'm really, really excited, and like I feel like I'm talking really fast. But when I go back to edit, I'll be like, oh, I wasn't talking as fast as I thought I was. But there is still a little bit of nerves talking about a taboo subject. But honestly, like, taboo subject is still, it's part of the patriarchy. It keeps people under control if you don't share and talk about information like this kind of stuff. So a lot of people, when they find out that somebody has aphantasia and cannot visualize in their mind at all, our minds always go to sex. They just do. They're like, wait, can you not see naked people? Can you not visualize naked people? Can you not think about people without their clothes on? And no, I literally can't. And I made a short about this one actually a long time ago, because you know that quote that says if you have to give a speech and you're really nervous, you should just visualize the audience with their clothes off. And I always thought that plus any other reference to visualization was always a metaphor, because I didn't know until I was 38 that most people can visualize in their mind. So that was kind of like a little eye-opening for me. But then of course that goes to, oh my gosh, so other people can like have their fantasy like crushes, you know, or whatever, and kind of like think about them naked. Oh no, I cannot do that. And it was kind of startling to me to realize that other people could, and to think that like other people could think about me. I don't even want to go there. That's just weird, y'all. Don't do that. Even if you can, like, just don't. I don't know. Maybe it's because something I can't do. Like the thought of it is just so weird. And I remember reading or hearing about or something, I don't know, references where people, or maybe it was like on my mom's message board, because man, that message board can get really racy. People were asking, do you ever think or visualize in your mind another person when you're having sex with your partner? And I'm like, people can do that? Oh my God, that is so weird. No, I can't. And to think that like other people could be thinking about, oh my gosh, no, can't do it. Never even crossed my mind. When I'm having sex with my husband, there's no other thoughts of other people in my brain. But again, it's also, tied into that unique perspective. I'm demisexual. There has to be a connection with the person I'm having sex with anyway. But even if I could visualize somebody, or if I wanted to, I can't. Also, I've talked about before with aphantasia, when I'm reading books that have a lot of descriptive scenes, like, you know, Tolkien going into this huge, long descriptive passage of like what the landscape looks like, it's such a snore to me because they can't visualize it. I love romance novels, but long, drawn out sex scenes, like, really aren't that exciting for me because I can't visualize it. And half the time I'm like trying to follow along with what the author is trying to say, and because I can't visualize it, what's going on with the the characters in the book, I'm like, I can't visualize it as the author is writing it. And it's funny because I'm on Threads app, and I follow a lot of writers, and I saw someone post a while back, and they said, hey, who are my other authors that try to like make sure that when they are writing spicy scenes that they are physically possible? And it just cracks me up because it doesn't even matter, because I can't visualize what you're writing down. It's not there. And so I have multisensory aphantasia. That means that not only can I not visualize in my mind's eye, I can't experience any of the senses in my mind. So that means like if I go to touch something, when most people, if they look at a texture of something, like without touching it, they just look at this like silicone fidget that I picked up, they can look at it and their brain is going to send them some information about what it feels like. My brain doesn't do that. That's why I'm constantly touching things, because when I see it, I want to know what it feels like. And my brain can't tell me just off the visual cues. And it's like right now I just picked this up and it's silicone and I've touched it a million times, but I've never really like paid attention. And it's actually cooler to the touch than I would have thought. And it's got this like slightly sticky feeling. My brain doesn't give me any of that information just by looking at it. If you were to like, look at a soft stuffed animal or a pet, with a soft fur, most people, their brain will tell them, oh, that's soft. And it tells them actually what it feels like. I know that a stuffed animal is soft, but my brain doesn't remember what soft is until I'm actually touching it. So with that, I don't know how clear of a picture I need to draw for you, but when I'm thinking in my brain about, sexy situations, I'm not thinking about what a partner might feel like. I can't hear sounds in my brain. I can't see them. I don't experience any of the senses in my brain. I actually went onto Reddit and looked up questions that people might have about aphantasia and sex, because I was just like, I wanted to make sure I answered as many questions as people might have about it. And one question that came up is like, if you are trying to think back to a previous sexual encounter, can you remember or visualize it or relive it in your brain? And again, because I also have a memory disorder, severely deficient autobiographical memory, which means that I don't have autobiographical memories, just semantic memories, which is knowledge facts. So like, I might be able to remember that I had sex previously. I don't have the autobiographical memories, so I don't necessarily remember the experience other than the facts that I remembered about it. Like, oh, sex is fun. I enjoyed that. I'm not going to remember the exact experiences. I'm trying not to get too graphic because it is my private life. But along with that and the aphantasia, so having the SDAM means that I'm not going to remember the experiences that specifically anyway, but even if I could, I would not be able to relive it through visual memory because I don't have visuals in my brain. So anyway, I hope this was fun for y'all and me. It's important to me. It's important for me in my unmasking journey to live fully self-expressed. In my last video, I talked about returning to colors that I enjoy in my wardrobe. I went many, many years wearing just gray. Again, it was kind of a way to blend in, not stand out. I typically don't wear t-shirts. I like lower cut shirts, but I am now in my graphic tee era. And look at this one, it's so cute. It says, please be patient with me. I'm from the 1900s. And when I saw it, even though it was a t-shirt and I don't typically like t-shirts, I had to get it. And then I got these really cute teal comfy pants. And so I'm trying to find, my diagnosis, my autism diagnosis has freed me from my mask, which was making me a shell of a human with no opinions, no style, it was just becoming a prison in my brain. And unmasking and learning I can talk about sex. There's nothing wrong with that. It's a social construct. It's social stigma that people shouldn't talk about sex. It's a natural human thing and there's still like, a decorum. You can still have privacy, but to pretend that it's a taboo subject is silly. That's how harm happens. But finding my voice, finding my style, learning about different types of sexuality, like demisexual, it's just been an amazing part of my journey. So, I don't mind respectful comments, but like usual, anything that is really disrespectful, it's going to get cut. So I, again, hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure you do the things, the likes, the comments, the shares, if it's something you feel like sharing with somebody, because this channel has meant a lot to me, and I really would like it to get out there and maybe help other people. Till the next one. Bye, guys.